Good morning, students. Already we discussed certain concepts related to capacitors and their combinations. Today let us do some applications related to the combination of capacitors. Here we are given with a ladder network. Here is the question. The question is providing us a ladder network of capacitors. You know the symbol of capacitor is this. This is the symbol of capacitor. In some of the books they give capacitor like this. If you keep an arrow mark here, this is variable capacitor. Variable capacitor. This is just capacitor or condenser. Capacitor or condenser. Both the plates are having identical size. So here we are given with combination of capacitors as a ladder network. As a ladder network like this. Extended up to infinity. Each capacitor is having identical capacity C. Each capacitor is having identical capacity C. You are asked to find effective capacitance of this combination. You are asked to find effective capacitance of this combination. It is very simple. Effective capacitance means between these points A and B, I need to find the effective capacitance. C effective how much? In order to understand this, let me take two more points here. Let me name them as P and Q. It is an infinite network. If I cut a branch of this infinite network, that means if I cut at PQ, the capacitance will not change. From ocean of water, if we remove a bucket of water, nothing will change. The volume is not going to change. The change in volume is negligibly small. Similarly, from an infinite ladder, if I remove a particular branch, it will not going to alter the effective capacitance. Now, to understand this, by removing this, you will be left with the remaining entire branch having effective capacitance. Suppose the effective capacitance is X. Let it be X. Let it be X. Upon removal of this, if you find the effective capacitance between P and Q, again you will get the same X value. By removing this, if you find the effective capacitance between P and Q, again you will get the same X, same effective capacitance. By the addition of this part and by the removal of this part, effective capacitance is not going to change. Now, if I draw this portion A, B, here is one capacitor attached to this like this, and here one more capacitor is there. Here is B. So already this capacitance is C, this capacitance is C. I replaced the remaining entire network with a single capacitor of capacitance C. Again, if you find the effective capacitance between A and B, you will get same X. C effective at AB is equal to X only. C effective at AB is also X1. If you observe clearly, these two capacitors are parallel to each other. So this network can be replaced with this capacitor is like this. What is the effective capacitance in parallel combination? C effective in parallel combination is sum of individual capacitances. So here you will have a single capacitor whose capacitance is given by the effective capacitance in this parallel combination is C plus X. As they are parallel, effective capacitance is C1 plus C2. Already here we have C. Now I would like to find effective capacitance between A and B. What is effective capacitance between A and B? Again, X only. So these two are in series combination. In series combination, effective capacitance is given by C effective. If you find effective between A and B, you will get X. That must be equal to the series effective capacitance, that is C into C plus X by C plus C plus X. C plus C plus X. Now, if you simplify this, what you will get? X is equal to C square plus Cx in the numerator by 2C plus X in denominator. 2Cx plus X square is equal to C square plus Cx. If you bring all the terms on one side, X square plus Cx, 2Cx minus Cx, you will be left with Cx only, plus X C square minus C square. Minus C square is equal to 0. It is in the form of Ax square plus Bx plus C is equal to 0. A quadratic equation. Here A is nothing but 1. Here 1x square is there. You can compare A value with 1. You can compare B value with C. You can compare C value with minus C square. You can compare C value with minus C square. What are the roots of this equation? X is equal to minus B plus or minus root of B square minus 4AC by 2A. By 2A. Therefore, X can be replaced with minus B in the sense minus C plus or minus root of B square means C square minus 4AC, A value 1, C value minus C square by 2A, nothing but 2. Then you will get X is equal to minus C plus or minus root of, this is plus 4C square plus C square, 5C square by 2. X is equal to, you can take C as common, so you are left with 1 plus or minus square root of 5 into C by 2. Effective capacitance can never take negative value. Here we will get two values for X. What are they? One is minus 1 plus root 5 into C by 2. Another one is minus 1 minus root 5 by 2 into C. This is not valid since capacitance never takes negative value. So we have to go with this one because root 5 is around 2 point something. So you will get a positive value here, which is root 5 is greater than minus 1. Definitely you will get positive value. So the final effective capacitance of the combination is given by X value. X value is root 5 minus 1 by 2 into C. Root 5 minus 1 by 2 into C. root 5 minus 1 by 2 into C. So in this way, any infinite ladder network can be simplified into the known network, and we can find the effective capacitance using this formula. I hope I reached you. One more example, let us discuss. Please note it down. One more problem let us discuss based on the combination of capacitors. If you are given a set of plates of capacitor, identical plates are there. Those identical plates are arranged like this. They were joined with one another. And here is one more plate. It is like this. And one more plate. It is like this. These plates, these terminals are given names X and Y. These terminals are given names X and Y. X is, you are asked to find, all the plates are identical. The question is like this, all the plates are identical. All the plates are identical. Find effective capacitance between the terminals X comma Y. Find effective capacitance between the terminals X comma Y. Generally, capacitor means one terminal should be given positive charge, another terminal should be given negative charge. If I attach positive terminal of the battery to X, negative terminal of the battery to Y, what will happen? The same positive charge will come onto this plate, onto the both sides. So due to this positive charge, negative charge is induced here. As it is connected to this plate, here you will get negative charge. Here you will get negative charge. Due to this negative charge, some positive charge is induced over here. Already this plate is given negative charge. We can rearrange this set of 4 plates with a equivalent circuit. Let me name the plates as 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me name the plates as 1, 2, 3, 4. So here, if you observe clearly, 1 and 2. If I write like this, 2 and 3, if I write like this, this is plate 2, this is plate 2, you can join them. Already we have a connection between plate 1 and plate 3. So plate 1 and 3 also joined. Here, the first set of plates 1 and 2, they are constituting a capacitor. The second set of plates 2, 3, they are constituting one more capacitor. The third set of plates 3 and 4, they are also constituting one more capacitor. Totally 4 plates are there. They are framing 3 capacitors. First capacitor is 1, 2. The second capacitor is 2, 3. As the 2 plate is common means it is common for both the capacitors. I joined them. Already as per the problem, plate 1 is joined with plate 3. Now we have one more capacitor, that is 3, 4. 3, 4. 3 must be joined with 3. So I can draw like this, 3, 4. 4 is joined to the terminal Y. 4 is joined to the terminal Y. 2 is joined to the terminal X. So I rearranged the given set of plates into the combination of capacitors like this. As the plates are identical and their separation is also identical here. Separation between them is also same. Hence, all the 3 capacitors can have identical capacity. Suppose the first set is having capacity C, the second set also have capacity C, The third set also can have, because same area, same separation. Now the effective capacitance is given by, these two are parallel to each other. So effective capacitance is C1 plus C2, it becomes 2C. That means X is like this. By replacing these two, you can write 2C here. 2C is in series to C. C effective between X and Y is given by 2C into C by 2C plus C. That is nothing but 3C. So C and C gets cancelled. So you are left with 2C by 3. As you know that they are parallel plate capacitors. The capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor is given by epsilon naught A by D. All the plates are identical means all the plates are having identical area A. Separation D. D is the separation between them. D is the separation between them. A is the area of each plate. So effective capacitance of such a combination of plates is 2 by 3 epsilon naught A. In the similar model, 2 by 3 epsilon naught A by D. Okay. In the similar model, one more problem let us solve. Again, you are provided with identical plates with equal separation, and you are asked to find the effective capacitance. How to solve this problem? Let us see. Now again we have 4 plates, 1, 2, 3, 4. First plate is joined with fourth plate directly like this. The second plate is attached to terminal X. The third plate is attached to terminal Y. All the plates are identical. The separation between the plates is also identical. Now the question is, we need to find the effective capacitance. How many plates are there? This is the question. Solution I am going to do. How many plates are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 plates are there means 3 capacitors will be formed. What are the 3 capacitors? 1, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 4. And plate 2 is common for 1, 2 capacitor and 2, 3 capacitor. Plate 3 is common for 2, 3 capacitor and 3, 4 capacitor. So equivalent circuit we can draw like this. 2, 3 I am drawing like this because 2 is attached to the terminal X. So the same 2 is common for 2, 3 capacitor as well as 2, 1 capacitor. So 2, 1 capacitor I am drawing like this. 2, 1 or 1, 2 both are same. This one plate is joined with fourth plate. So fourth plate it is joined. 4, 3 is another capacitor. As this plate and this plate are at identical potential, we can join them. Plate 3 is attached with terminal Y. Plate 3 is attached with the terminal Y. All the 3 are having identical capacity C. Now I would like to find the effective capacitance. These 2 capacitors are in series. In series, C effective is given by C into C by C plus C. So terminal X will be like this. The upper capacitor C, it is having capacity like this. The combination can have a capacity C into C by C plus C. That is nothing but C square by 2C. You will get C by 2. This is terminal Y. This is identical circuit to this. Okay. Now effective capacitance means again these 2 are parallel. So C effective between the terminals X comma Y is given by C plus C by 2. That is 3C by 2. For parallel plate capacitor, effective capacitance is given by epsilon naught A by D. So answer is 3 by 2 epsilon naught A by D. One more example. This is question number 2 on the same model. Now I am going to give question number 3. Question number 3. Question number 3. Similar model. Here you are provided with 4 plates again. The first plate and last plate, they were joined to a terminal P. The second plate and the third plate, they were joined to a terminal Q. They were joined to a terminal Q. You are asked to find effective capacitance of the combination. Here again we have 4 plates, plate number 1, 2, 3, 4. If you observe clearly, plate 1 is at P potential, plate 2 is at Q potential, they provides one capacitor. Plate 3 is at Q potential, plate 4 is at P potential, they provides one capacitor. But plate 2 and 3, they are attached with the same potential. So they will not constitute capacitor. So we will have, actually 4 plates are there, means 3 capacitors will be, but 1, 2 will act as capacitor, 3, 4 will act as capacitor, 2, 3 will not act as capacitor. How to get effective capacitance? So 2, 3 is not acting as capacitor, only we have 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1 is attached with 4. So I may draw 4 here. 3, 4. So 2 and 3, they were attached to Q. They were attached to Q. 1, 4, they were attached to P. Clearly, these two are identical capacitors. They are in parallel combination. Effective capacitance is given by C plus C, that is nothing but 2C, that is equal to 2 epsilon naught A by D. That is the answer. 2 epsilon naught A by D is the answer. Similarly, if I take one more combination, question number 4. Again we have 4 plates. All the 4 plates are identical plates. Let me name them as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3 are attached to a terminal P. 2 and 4 are attached to a terminal Q. Now you are asked to find the capacitance, effective capacitance between P and Q. That means C effective between P and Q is equal to question mark. Clearly, 1 is at P potential, 2 is at Q potential, it acts as capacitor. 2 is at Q potential, 3 is at P potential, it also acts as capacitor. 3 is at P potential, 4 is at Q potential, it also acts as capacitor. If you observe clearly, all the 3 capacitors are in parallel combination. How can you know? 1, 2 is like this. 2 is common for both. So 2, 3 is like this. Then one more is 3, 4. 3, 4. 4 is attached to Q. 3 is like this. 1, 3 is clearly joined. As 3 and 3 both are at same potential, you can join all the 3 like this with P. You can join all the 3 with Q like this. Clearly all the 3 are in parallel combination. C effective is given by C plus C plus C. 3C, that is equal to 3 epsilon naught A by D. That is the answer. 3 epsilon naught A by D. So in this way, any set of plates, if they give you, you should identify whether both the plates are at identical potential or different potentials. Based on the nature of potentials, you have to reframe them into a equivalent circuit. Based on that, you have to calculate the effective capacitance value. I hope I reached you. Thank you. Today we will discuss one more idea related to capacitors, that is distribution of charge or redistribution of charge. Redistribution of charge. It's a very essential idea to understand the capacitors chapter. Here we are provided with two spheres. Two spheres are there. They are separated with large distance. They are far away from one another. Its electric field is not influencing its potential. Its electric field is not influencing its potential. That means it is at infinite distance to this. It is also at infinite distance to this. Like that, we have taken two spheres. This solid metallic sphere is having radius r1. Other solid metallic sphere is having radius r2. This sphere is having capacity C1. We already calculated capacitance of a spherical capacitor. Based on that, isolated sphere means 4 pi epsilon naught R1 will be the capacitance of the first capacitor. 4 pi epsilon naught R2 will be the capacitance of the second capacitor. This first sphere is provided with charge Q1 on its surface. It is having some potential V1 on its surface. The second sphere is having charge Q2 and potential V2 on its surface. These two spheres are now attached with a small wire. What will happen? Whenever we connect a wire from one potential point to another potential, always transfer of charge takes place. Charge moves from high potential region to low potential region. Suppose V1 is high potential, means charge will go from first sphere to second sphere. If V2 is high potential, means charge will come from second sphere to first sphere. How much time the charge transfer will take place? Till they attain common potential, the charge transfer takes place from high potential sphere to low potential sphere. That means, what is the charge available on the first sphere? Q1 is equal to C1 V1 as per the definition of capacity. What is the charge available on the second sphere? Q2 is equal to C2 V2. Charge transfer is taking place from high potential to low potential. High potential to low potential sphere, the charge is getting transferred till they attain a common potential. What is the total charge here? Total charge. Total charge is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Individually, its capacity is C1, its capacity is C2. So total capacity is C is equal to C1 plus C2. I am going to estimate the common potential, what they are going to attain. So common potential V is equal to total charge by total capacity. That is nothing but Q1 plus Q2 by C1 plus C2. So the common potential value can be calculated by the formula Q1. Q1 means how much? C1 V1 plus Q2 means C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. So individually, the first sphere is having potential V1, the second sphere is having potential V2. Due to the transfer of charge, these high potential value is reducing, low potential value is increasing, they are reaching to a common potential V. The common potential V is given by that formula. Once the charge transfer happens, the final charge available on the first sphere, let it be Q1 dash, the final charge attained by the second sphere is Q2 dash. Once it attains Q2 dash, what will happen? The potential becomes V. That means it is moving from a state of C1 Q1 V1 to Q1 dash comma V. Capacity will not change. Both are getting common potential. Once they attain the common potential, the charge on the first sphere is Q1 dash, the charge on the second sphere is Q2 dash. How to get Q1 dash? Charge is always given by the product of capacitance into potential. So capacitance is not going to change, it is C1 only. The potential of the first sphere is V. Similarly, Q2 dash is C2V. Q2 dash is C2V. What is the total charge final? Final total charge is total charge Q1 dash plus Q2 dash. Here total charge is always conserved. Therefore, we can say the total charge Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Initially, it is like that. Q1 value may increase or decrease, Q2 value may increase or decrease. But the finally, there is some again equal to the total charge initial. So you can say like this, if I take Q1 dash by Q2 dash, that is nothing but C1V by C2V. This common potential gets cancelled. You know that capacitance of the first sphere is given by 4 pi epsilon naught R1. Capacitance of second sphere is given by 4 pi epsilon naught R2. So capacitance is proportional to radius. As capacitance is proportional to radius, in the place of C1 I can write 4 pi epsilon naught R1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R2. 4 pi epsilon naught, 4 pi epsilon naught gets cancelled. Finally, the conclusion is like this. The ratio of final charges is equal to ratio of their respective capacities, that is equal to ratio of their respective radii. For solving so many problems, we use this relation. The charge distribution is proportional to their capacities ratio. Final charges ratio is proportional to or equal to the ratio of their capacities. As capacity of a sphere is proportional to radius, you can write ratio of capacities is equal to ratio of radii of the two spheres. So, charge is shared in proportion to their capacities ratio. Charge is shared in proportion to their capacities ratio. Try to remember this concept and try to remember this formula for solving some problems. Let us discuss one more point related to this. Here what is happening? Initially it is having certain energy. Let it be U1. U1 is the initial energy. Its initial energy is U2. Initial energy can be calculated by half C1 V1 square, half C2 V2 square. Once redistribution is happening, what will happen to the final energy? Let us calculate the energies. Initially, what is the energy of the system? Finally, what is the energy of the system? If this wire is having certain resistance, some amount of heat is liberated here. So some energy is wasted in the form of heat. Sometimes you may find some sparks here when you are attaching the wire. So energy is lost either in the form of heat or in the form of light or in the form of sound. Definitely whenever we attach one charged body with another charged body, it may associate with some loss in energy either in the form of heat or in the form of light or in the form of sound. I am going to calculate the loss in energy. I am going to calculate the loss in energy. How to calculate the loss in energy? Loss in energy is nothing but initial energy minus final energy. So what is the initial energy of the system? Ui. Initial total energy of the system. Ui is equal to half C1 V1 square plus half C2 V2 square. Final total energy of the system. UF is equal to, capacity is not going to change, but it is going to get a common potential V. Even the second one is also getting a common potential V. So you can write a half C1 plus C2 into V square as final energy. So we need loss in energy. That means energy final minus energy initial. Obviously we will get negative sign here. Some energy is lost. That means final energy is less than initial energy. So by substituting half into C1 plus C2 into V square minus half into C1 V1 square plus C2 V2 square. You should do some mathematical simplification here by substituting the V value, common potential value. What is common potential value? Just now we calculated it as C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. So, half into loss in energy delta U, let me write, loss in energy delta U is equal to half into C1 plus C2 into common potential C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2 whole square minus half into C1 V1 square plus C2 V2 square. So on simplification, you will get the loss in energy minus half of C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. This expression is also, here minus indicates there is a loss in energy. So the loss in energy is calculated with the formula half into C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. Clearly C1 is positive, C2 is positive, V1 minus V2, as it is having square, it is positive. So this minus indicates loss in energy. How to use this idea? Now we have seen the redistribution of charge. What is redistribution? Whenever you attach one sphere with another sphere by means of a wire, some energy is lost in the form of heat or light or sound, and they are attaining a common potential. We gave an expression for common potential as C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2, and we calculated the loss in energy. How we have to use it? Practically, while doing problems, it is used in two different situations. Let us see those situations. First situation, loss in energy due to combination of capacitors. Two capacitors I would like to join. I have two situations. The first capacitor is like this. The second capacitor is like this. They were attached by a key such that the positive terminals of the two capacitors are joined and the negative terminals of the two capacitors are joined. This is one kind of combination. Another kind of combination is the same set of two capacitors. Again, key is there. Here positive negative is there. Here negative positive is there. So the negative terminal of the first capacitor is joined with the positive terminal of the second capacitor. Individually the capacitance is C1, potential is V1, C2, V2, the same. C1, V1 is here, C2, V2 is here. How redistribution of energy is taking place? By closing key. By closing the key, how the redistribution is going to takes place and what is the common potential they are going to attain and what is the loss in energy they are going to get. So clearly, what is the total charge? Individually here the charge is Q1, here the charge is Q2. The total charge is given by Q1 plus Q2. The total capacity is given by C1 plus C2. They are not in series or parallel combination. Whenever we attach them to a cell, then only they will be in series or parallel combination. Here you should not think like that. We are just joining one charged capacitor with another charged capacitor such that positive terminals are joined at one point, negative terminals are joined at one point. Then the common potential is Q by C, nothing but Q1 plus Q2 by C1 plus C2. Q1 is nothing but C1 V1 plus C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. Again, if you calculate the loss in energy means final energy minus initial energy, you will get an expression that half into C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 minus V2 whole square. V1 minus V2 whole square. It is in the first situation. In the second situation, what is the total charge? Here total charge is Q1 difference Q2. Why I am writing Q1 difference Q2? Here charge is Q1, here charge is Q2. Here Q2 is positive, Q1 is negative, so you can take Q1 minus Q2. Sometimes Q2 may be negative, Q1 may be positive. That's why I am writing difference. Then what is total capacity? C1 plus C2. What is the value of common potential? Q1 difference Q2 by C1 plus C2. That is nothing but C1 V1 difference C2 V2 by C1 plus C2. You will not get negative. Only magnitude I am taking in the numerator. Later, if you calculate the loss in energy, how to calculate loss in energy? Final energy minus initial energy. So the loss in energy you can calculate by using the formula half into C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 into V1 plus V2 whole square. V1 plus V2 whole square. The loss in energy can be calculated by using this formula. The basic difference between the two formulae comes like this. Common potential is having positive sign here. Here we have a difference sign here. That is the difference in two cases. Loss in energy is with negative sign here. The loss in energy is with positive sign here. So you have to use these formulae while doing problems. Thank you. Let us discuss one more concept. High voltage breakdown. High voltage breakdown. Which is also called corona discharge. Corona discharge. It's an essential concept to learn Van de Graaff generator. First of all, let us understand what is high voltage breakdown. What do you mean by corona discharge? High voltage breakdown means, like earlier concept, here also we will take two isolated metallic spheres. The first sphere is having radius r, capital R, provided with the charge Q1. The second sphere, which is far away from this, it is not under the influence of this electric field or potential. The second sphere is having radius small r, provided with the charge Q2. If I attach them with the help of a small wire, redistribution of charge takes place. Till they attain common potential. All these things are known to you. So final potential on the first sphere and final potential on the second sphere, they should get equal to one another. After redistribution, their potentials are going to get same value. So let Q1 dash is the final charge here, Q2 dash is the final charge here. So the final potential on A, let the name of this sphere is A, let the name of this sphere is B. So final potential on A is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 dash by R. Final potential on B is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 dash by small r. Q1 dash by capital R, Q2 dash by small r. So if I take final potential of the first sphere is equal to final potential of the second sphere, what will happen? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught will go. Q1 dash by r is equal to Q2 dash by small r. Or you can say Q1 dash by Q2 dash is equal to Q1 dash by Q2 dash is equal to capital R by small r. Capital R by small r. If I take the ratio of surface charge densities, what do you mean by surface charge density? Surface charge density is nothing but charge residing over unit area. Initial surface charge density is Q1 by 4 pi r square. Final surface charge density means Q1 dash by 4 pi r square. So this is the surface charge density on first sphere. Surface charge density on second sphere is given by Q2 dash by 4 pi small r square. Q2 dash by 4 pi small r square. So if I take sigma A by sigma B, that is nothing but Q1 dash by 4 pi capital R square by Q2 dash by 4 pi small r square. 4 pi gets cancelled. So sigma A by sigma B is equal to Q1 dash by Q2 dash into small r by capital R whole square. Already we got a relationship that Q1 dash by Q2 dash is equal to capital R by small r. If I substitute it here, capital R by small r into small r by capital R whole square. So this and square gets cancelled. You are left with small r by capital R. The ratio of surface charge densities of the two spheres after redistribution is in the ratio of their radii, small r by capital R. Clearly, final surface charge density on the first sphere, if I take, it is proportional to 1 by r. Final surface, because small r is constant, you can say that sigma A is proportional to 1 by capital R, sigma B is proportional to 1 by small r. You can take it like this. So final conclusion is sigma is inversely proportional to radius. Sigma is inversely proportional to radius. After redistribution of charge, after they attain the common potential, their surface charge densities are in the ratio of their radii in reverse order. That means they are inversely proportional. How it is helpful to us? To understand it more clearly, I will take a conductor. I will take a conductor like this. I am just rubbing this. Just I am taking a conductor like this. This is a conductor with irregular shape. This conductor is provided with some positive charge on its surface. This conductor is provided with some positive charge on its surface. If you observe a point here, here electric field E1 bar is like this. One more point, if I take B here, here electric field is E2 bar like this. Electric field is sigma by epsilon naught, so it is proportional to surface charge density, and it's a conductor. What is the difference between point A and B? At point A, the radius of curvature is more. At point B, the radius of curvature is less. That means if you observe the electric field at A and B, radius of curvature at A is greater than radius of curvature at B. E proportional to sigma, we know that E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Therefore, you can say that electric field at A is less than, because E proportional to, sorry, sigma proportional to 1 by R. EA is less than EB. That means E1 bar is less than E2 bar. Wherever the radius of curvature is less, the electric field is stronger. Wherever radius of curvature is more, the electric field is weaker. So on a same conductor, the distribution of charge is like this. More charge is accumulated at the sharp edge. That means where the radius of curvature is less, more charge is accumulated here, more electric field is observed here. Where radius of curvature is more, less charge is accumulated, a less electric field is observed. What will happen due to the deposition of heavy charge at this sharp edge? What will happen? There is a possibility. The strong electric field will ionize the air in its vicinity. In the surrounding area, whatever air molecules are there, they will become ions, like positive ion and negative ion. This negative ion is getting attracted by the positive here. So, due to the transfer of this negative ion onto its surface, the discharge is happening. These are all air molecules. The ionization of air molecules leads to the deposition of electrons onto the surface. Due to this, discharge is taking place from the sharp edge. The discharge from the sharp edge of a conductor due to the heavy electric field is considered as corona discharge. Is considered as corona discharge. Once again, you tell me. As we know, surface charge density due to the redistribution of charge is inversely proportional to the radius of curvature or radius. More amount of charge is deposited at the sharp edge of a conductor. Hence, more electric field is observed at sharp edge. Due to the heavy electric field, there is a possibility for ionization of air in the vicinity of the conductor at the sharp edge. Due to this ionization, these negative charged electrons may deposit onto the sharp edge, and discharge of charge available here is taking place. Such a discharge is known as corona discharge. It is useful to understand the next concept called Van de Graaff generator. It is useful to understand the next concept called Van de Graaff generator. Thank you.